I drove an hour and a half each way. It was in Encinitas at the time. I drove there 3 days a week. I had somebody watching my 1-year-old. So I left her. So like sometimes when I hear agents and they're like, oh, I wouldn't go that far, or, oh, I wouldn't do this. I'm like, well, that's the difference.
So welcome to the Strategic Agent Podcast. Today I have a very special guest with me, Miss Sara Farsani, who otherwise is known as Sara Realtor Mama.
Yeah, that's right. Because somebody else took Realtor Mama.
Oh my gosh.
And she doesn't even use it.
And she's not even, is she not even in the business?
No, she's in the business, but she's bare. I mean, I don't want to talk poorly of Realtor. Yeah, she's I haven't seen her post or anything, but she took the name, so I was like, all right, Sara Realtor Mama.
Well, similar story for me on real estate websites. I tried to get my domain name GabeCole.com like 20 years ago when I first got in the business.
Yeah.
And there's a Gabe Cole in Boston. He's not an agent. He just registered his own name. And he's never put a website up on it.
Oh,
and
no.
Every so-and-so years, I go and check back up on it, and he keeps renewing it. So
no way.
He does, and he doesn't do anything with it.
That's a bummer.
I think I probably wouldn't have a good shot at buying it, because I think he'd know that, I'd have to have you call him and be like, hey, this is Sara. Can I buy GabeCole.com?
I don't know why. I just want it.
Yeah, exactly. Awesome. Well, awesome. I'm super excited. We're already having fun here. And that's a lot of what I see from you and your business. You like to have fun. Yeah. Right? And you like to have fun with your clients and your friends, right?
Yes. A lot of laughs.
So what I would like to do is maybe we can get a little bit of background on you, because you haven't been in the business that long.
No.
But you are absolutely crushing it.
Aww.
You are doing fantastic. I love your social media.
Aww.
You're very authentic on social media, which I know is important to you.
Thank you.
And I would like to get into your background, how you got into real estate, and then maybe you could just give some stories on what's making you be successful and how you're achieving such a high level of success so early on.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So do you want me to start from when I was born, or no?
Maybe kindergarten. We could bypass the first 5 years. No, why don't we start with just how you got into real estate, what made you choose real estate, and how long have you been in real estate now?
Right. So I've only been in real estate 4 years now. I got into real estate because I had started off in property management. I did that for over a decade, and I did really well. So I was number one in the nation in sales with leasing, and then
very large property management company.
715 units. It was a scary community. I'm not going to say which one, but I learned a lot. I went through a homicide there. I went through there were suicides, there were drugs, everything you could think of. So it really gave me a thick skin. And then from there, I went on to do sales training. So I did sales training within for the salespeople on site. I taught them how to sell, basically. Okay. So I did videos. That's what I did. I created videos to teach how to sell.
Nice.
And then I had my daughter. So I took a year off after I had her. And I originally went into property management to do real estate, but then I got stuck in it. And so I ended up deciding hey, I want to try to do what I had done before. And now I have the means to get into real estate. So I decided to get into real estate. It was a year after having Simone.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And so after you had that experience in property management, it literally makes everything in traditional real estate look easy compared to what you went through.
For sure. Nothing scares me. So I've seen it all. I've seen everything: mold, fires, floods. They say when you're on the radio in property management, they're there's 3 reasons why you call an emergency. It's fire, flood, or blood. That's it. And I swear, I'm not kidding you. That place was insane. So.
And would you have to get called out to the property?
Oh, yeah. Oh yeah. I was on property. I lived there.
Oh, you lived there.
Yeah, it
Okay.
was a nightmare.
Got it.
Living there. It
Got
was
it.
like
You were
people
collecting
knew,
rent and stuff.
oh
huh?
my gosh, evictions, like you have no idea. So it gave me a really thick skin. So nothing really like in real estate surprises me. Like everything's like compared to property management. Oh my gosh.
Picking up the phone and calling a buyer or seller is easy compared to
Oh my
what
God,
you were doing.
no problem. Are you kidding me? No problem. I can do anything. So
I love that attitude.
Yeah.
So let's talk about, then you transitioned into real estate.
I got into real estate. So I was like, okay, what do I do? You get your real estate license. You're like, oh, okay. Now what? Right? Like that's the easy part. So I was on this thing. I was working for a different company at the time. And I was on this thing that's kind of like a Facebook, and somebody was looking for an open house. And so to hold their open houses. And I was like, well, I could go do that. So I was already trying to look for open houses, and it was rough back then. It was 4 years ago. So like it wasn't easy to get an open house, especially brand new. So I went and I interviewed, and they actually didn't choose me. They were like, oh, we went with this other girl. And I was like, well, why don't I hold because it was a new build. So it was like 6 different houses. So I was like, well, why don't I hold it open when you're closed? You're not open Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays. Why don't I do that? So I got my foot in the door that way. I never take no for an answer. So I got my foot in the door that way. I ended up closing out the entire place on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. They eventually, after they saw that I knew what I was doing, they gave me the weekends. So they allowed me to work the weekends. And the other girl ended up quitting, and I ended up taking over. And then I continued to work with them on other new builds until COVID hit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was this in Orange County or was this in San Diego?
I drove an hour and a half each way. It was in Encinitas at the time. And I drove there 3 days a week. I had somebody watching my 1-year-old. So I left her. So like sometimes when I hear agents and they're like, oh, I wouldn't go that far, or, oh, I wouldn't do this. I'm like, well, that's the difference, right? Like
it's a big difference, right?
Between,
yeah. I know agents that don't want to even drive 20 or 30 minutes away to do an open house because it's outside of their market.
Right.
Where you were so hungry to get your foot in the door and so hungry to get started, you drove to another county.
I'll do anything.
Because you felt like it was a good opportunity. And let's unpack also, like, it takes a lot of tenacity to succeed in the real estate business. And you just showcased that in your first month in the business, right? Like you heard no. And rather than just taking no for an answer and trying to find another open house, you came up with a solution. Right. You're like, hey, well, you don't have it open these days, which is midweek.
Right.
So agents probably most part would consider not driving that far. And 2, they would only want to do an open house on the weekends.
That's true.
And you just said, nope, there's a way, there's a will, there's a way. And you just did it. Right. That's incredible.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're talking gas money, nanny, and I did it for 4 months straight before I got, really started hitting the ground running. So my first one was the sweetest couple. They came in and then I remember them writing on the form. There was a form there and it said who's your agent? And they looked at me and they were like, you? And I was like, me? And then I remember the person who was helping me, she was like, so you need to write up an RPA. And I was like, what's that? And she was like, oh my God. So maybe we shouldn't.
No, it's fine because the beautiful thing here is everyone starts somewhere. And we all have those stories where we didn't know how to write our first contracts.
Yeah, but I didn't even know what an RPA was because we know it as residential purchase agreement or an AVID as an AVI now. But back then it was, I didn't know what an AVID was. It was an agent visual inspection, So you don't know the slang words, right? So I try to teach my team that too. I'm like, you have to name this, so you don't, Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so I was driving however long per day. I was doing the things that other people wouldn't do to be successful. And I knew that's what would make me successful.
Where did that drive come from? Did you always have that drive inside? Because you left a paycheck to go into a commission business.
I was making good money, really good money, working for that company.
Right. Mm-hmm. And so you wanted to match or exceed that income Is that what you were looking?
There was a ceiling, right? So like I had hit that ceiling. I knew it. And I wanted to not have anything that would hinder me from growing. And I'm so competitive, Gabe. I'm so competitive. It's ridiculous. Like I'm competitive with everything. My neighbor's competitive too. And we're always like, just like pushing each other down, like swimming, like whatever it is, basketball. Like
you want to win. You've got that deep drive inside to win.
And it's not about like, it's about winning myself.
Yeah. Being the best version of yourself you can possibly be.
Right.
Yeah.
Like so tomorrow I'm driving out to Pasadena for a listing appointment. Some guy called me and he was like, "Hey, there's no other Compass agents who have a listing in Anaheim. You're the only one." He's like, I have a listing appointment in Anaheim. I live far away. Do you want to co-list it with me?" I'm like, "Sure, let's do it." So we went to that appointment. He ended up liking me so much. He's like, "You want to co-list this one with me? You want to do this one with me?" So we're going to Pasadena tomorrow, then another one in Santa Ana. I have a listing in Chula Vista. I've got 2 in escrow, 1 in Oceanside, 1 in Vista. And then I've got 1 in Santa Ana.
Wow.
Yeah.
You are a Southern California real estate agent.
All over.
A lot of agents don't want to leave their zip code, let alone, drive to 3 different counties, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Why don't we go a little bit into then like how your career, I love the story of how you started, like where are you now? Are you building a team? Would also like to know like how you're getting a lot of your business. Where are these referrals coming from, or where are your clients coming from?
Yeah. So I am building a team. It's all woman team. I'm not opposed to men, but none of them have approached me.
No one stepped up to your level
maybe
yet.
They're intimidated. Who knows? But it's an all woman team, which I love because I do feel like this I feel like it's male dominated, and I feel like it's very difficult to go up against another male in a listing appointment. So I do want to help other women. I also had a really hard time with some females in the business when I first started. So I kind of wanted to change that trajectory for some of the new people coming in. So I have an all-woman team. They're all fierce. They're amazing.
How many agents are on your team now?
I have 5 agents on my team.
Including you, or 5?
Not including
team of
me.
6.
Yeah, a team of 6 women.
Awesome.
We've got, I think it's 4 moms, 5 including me. Right? Yeah. Yeah. All moms except for one, but she's a boss lady. So,
Awesome. So let's unpack a little bit on the Realtor Mom, right? Mm-hmm. Because you've fully adopted it and you've made it part of really your persona, right?
Yeah.
Like you just keep it real out there. And so, I mean, you've even told me stories about bringing Simone on, buyer showings and all of that kind of stuff. So just kind of for the moms out there that feel like, they can't balance business and being a mom, why don't you share with them how you do it and what tips and strategies and you can share with them.
Yeah. I was just writing about this last night. Actually, I was in bed and it was like a very thoughtful reel. And I was thinking about this. Oh no, I actually posted it. It was last night I posted this. There was a gentleman who, it was my first time meeting him, and I had Simone, my daughter, and I had my dog, and they were both with me at a birthday party. He wanted to go see this house. This was during like the time where there were lines out the door 4 months ago, 3 months ago. And so I knew I had to rush, and I didn't have anybody to watch Simone or the dog. So I took them both with me. It wasn't that hot. So the dog stayed in the car, and then I took Simone, and I'm like, please God, Simone, like this is my first time. Usually people are really okay with it because I work with so many moms, so they're fine. But this was just a dad, and I hadn't met him before. It was the first time. He was a referral.
Yeah.
And so all my business, basically 90% is referrals. And that's why I'm everywhere, because my referrals are everywhere. And so I ended up taking taking her in, and she actually was being super fussy that day. She was like, Mom, I want to go upstairs. And I was like, please stop. And I thought, God, this guy's never going to bring me to another, house again. There's no way. Like, I was so embarrassed. And then he walks me out to my car, and I open the door and the dog jumps out, right? Like, I was like, at least I can hide the dog. But no, he's like, whoa. And Hart's huge. Like, my dog is huge. And so I'm like, oh, I'm mortified. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm like, but we came from a birthday party. Like, what am I going to do? And he ended up buying a house from me a few months later. We ended up looking at other houses. I was pretty aggressive with him. Like, I sent letters out to the area that he wanted so that we could find him a house. We didn't get anything from the letters, but we did end up finding him a house. We closed in Laguna Niguel like a couple months ago.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. So have there ever been any situations where like it hasn't been okay, or have all of your clients that work with you just been, like, look, they're probably parents as well, right?
Yeah.
That are buying a lot of your clients are, right? So
yeah,
it's kind of natural for them, right?
Yeah. I think honestly it actually helps, like, that I bring Simone. I don't know why, but maybe she's like my little good luck.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I've never had an issue. Like, nobody's ever pushed back. And most of the time, like, if you go to the back of my car, I have coloring books back there. I have toys. So every time, like, kids can choose a toy, but like most of my tours are with kids. They're with moms who have kids, and we're all touring together and the kids play together. So it's fun. Yeah. I'm so lucky to do what I do. I'm so lucky. I could have brought Simone today. I brought my groceries.
Yeah, you did bring your groceries. I helped you carry them in.
That's
what I've noticed, you're so efficient, right? You have to be if you're balancing a career and a child, right?
Yeah. You gave me 15 minutes, and I was like, I'm going to head to Whole Foods.
We're trying to get our sound right. 15 minutes, and you did a whole grocery run, right?
I did, yeah.
And you got a smoothie.
Yeah, I got a smoothie and a coffee. Both. I did both.
I think moms are a lot more efficient than dads.
Yeah.
In the most part, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So you talked about referrals, right? So, like, how do you, you're doing a lot of transactions. You're helping a lot of clients buy and sell homes. Mm-hmm. A lot of agents think they have to be out there cold calling and door knocking and doing all of these things, buying internet leads. You do any of that stuff? Nada.
I've never knocked a door ever. I did send out postcards once or twice. No, I really tell my stories, and they're thoughtful, and I really do. Like, I love the stories that I tell. I'm a storyteller, right? So I tell my stories and my life through social media mainly. And I love doing it. I love sharing, but it really is all referrals. Like, I work with somebody, they see how hard I work, and they see that I want the best for them, and then they just refer. It's all referrals. Like, it's so crazy, right?
So they really feel like you've got their back.
Yeah.
Right? And so they feel good about referring you.
Yeah.
So how long did it take you to start really building up social media? Because let's talk to the agent that's been posting stuff on Instagram, and they have been doing stories, but like they just feel like they're not really getting any traction or reach outs from it. What advice could you give them?
It's just consistency. Like, I never thought about it when I was posting before. It wasn't a thought like, oh, I have to post. Oh, I need to post this many times. Oh, I need to do this. No. And still, it's not that way for me. I think it's mainly like telling your story, talking about the things that you do, your wins, your losses, like being real, right? Because it's not always a win. Sometimes it's one house, sometimes it's 50 houses, but I just share everything. I don't even care what it is. I share everything because I love to share. But I'll tell you, I got like most of my clientele was reaching out to me when I had 200 followers, like 200-300 followers. That's it. So it doesn't matter how many people are following you. It doesn't matter. Like, the numbers don't matter. It just matters that people understand and know that you're doing real estate, and that you're active, and that you want to help. And that's all that matters. Right. Yeah.
So you had people that were like dropping you DMs or comments? Like, how were they reaching out to you? How did it like kind of snowball for you?
It was never a DM. It was text messages. Like, it was people that I knew. but it wasn't like people that I was close to. It was like not like my sister, my brother, my cousins, because they'll disappoint you, first, because like they need to see you, that you know what you're doing before they go to you, right? But it was mainly like, let's say, other moms that I had met once or twice that maybe we became friends on Instagram or Facebook, and then they'd reach out to me because they'd see that I was doing real estate. Hey, I'm thinking about selling my house. And they were so loyal. Like, that's the other thing. They were so loyal to me. It was just like, I can't explain it. It was almost like it was meant to be. And the way that things happened, it like in a row, it's like everything was really, really meant to be.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So would you do anything from like a strategy perspective? I know you were building relationships, but as you would meet people, maybe other moms groups or, people in school or whatever it is, would you then like friend them on Facebook or follow them on Instagram? So then they would follow you back, and then you could form that relationship on social media as well. Like,
I follow everybody that I meet, and I also, and if they follow me, they follow me, but I follow every single person that I meet. Maybe not as much anymore, but back then. But really, like when I first started this is what's so crazy. When I first started the whole social media thing, it was for donations. Like I was doing donation events. And so I started becoming friends with other moms, and then creating moms groups, and then hanging out. And it just kind of snowballed into something more so than like, it was like on accident. And I was like, well, this is amazing because then I get to also share my story. But then at the same time, people were reaching out to me. I mean, that's nuts.
It is, especially since, the majority of agents, especially when they're getting new into the business, they're like trying to do all of these proactive things to try to get a client, right? And you just did these things naturally, and you did like basically it was like attraction based, right? And so that wasn't really your plan because you said it happened on accident.
It wasn't a plan.
What were you planning on doing? What were you?
I have no idea at the time.
You knew you were going to do open house.
I was doing open houses, and so at that time I was doing open houses, and then COVID hit, and literally it was the grand opening of this open house in. God, it was so far away. I don't even know. It was so far away. It was like 2 hours away. And I remember sitting at home and being like, well, that's it. My career is over. I'm done. Like open houses weren't allowed. Right. So I was like, okay, it's over. It's done. And then I got a call from a mom who was like, I want you to sell my house. And I was like, okay, so I'm going to die because of COVID, because we all thought we were going to die. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was the first week. I think honestly, Gabe, I really do think I was one of the first people to do an open house during that week where nobody could leave the house.
Everyone was shut down. Yeah.
And so even OCAR didn't know what to do. They were like, wear gloves, wear a mask. Everybody was like, we were all like suited up, right? I literally thought, I told at the time, I told my husband, I was like, I may not come home. And if I do, I may kill us all. Like, I don't know what's going to happen. Because at that time, it was like zombie land. But that catapulted, because listen to this. On that same house, I got a backup offer. And this sweet mom, she knows who she is. She was talking to a neighbor. And the neighbor was like, well, I'm thinking about selling my house. And I was like, well, we have a backup offer on this house. So I could approach them. So I approached them, and this is another mom in my mom's group that I've never met. Right. And so I'm like, would you be willing to allow me to sell your house for you? I have a backup offer. And they were being represented by another person. So I ended up selling their house and helping them buy, and then selling the other house and helping them buy. And then it just catapulted into more and more and more. And then one of my friends called me and she was like, hey, Sarah, I need your help. I want to buy this house. And basically at the time, her agent wasn't as quick as she would have liked. So I was like, no problem. What do you need? I'll drive over right now. And I pulled over on the side of the road, got them their house. Wow. With my laptop on hotspot in San Clemente. I'll never forget. And so it just kept going that way. Isn't that weird?
That is crazy.
Yeah.
So the agents that are on your team, like what what do you train them? How do you teach them? How do you coach them to kind of try to replicate some of the success you've had?
I do tell them like social media is key, right? To let people know that you're doing real estate, right? And it's free.
Yeah.
It's like the easiest low hanging fruit that you could have is actually using social media to your advantage, right? So post about your life, post about what you're doing. People want to hear the stories. Other than that, it's basically connecting with people, right? But I really don't buy leads, I'm telling you, and I don't spend money on marketing that much. I spend money on fun marketing, candles, coloring books,
things for your clients.
Yeah, backpacks that kids can color. Right. Stuff like that. But I don't sit there and spend a ton of money on and I have spent money on leads before, and it's all BS. Have you spent money on leads?
Yeah, we do. I mean, for my team, we run multiple lead sources, right? Mm-hmm. So there are paid leads that we will buy, but the business, what I love about this business is that there are so many different ways to build the business.
Yeah.
Right? Like you could do it all on Instagram. You could do it all on TikTok, right? There's agents that are doing it on YouTube, right? Then there's the traditional farmers or the open house or the door knockers or the cold callers, expired listings, right? There's so many different ways. And Tom Ferry always coined the saying that there's no wrong way to generate a lead.
That's right.
But then you just have to back it up with service, and you've got to do the absolute best. And then once you get started, whatever lead gen you pick, then it's servicing that client and then getting the referrals and the repeat business. Too. Exactly.
Right. Like doing it consistently. I did a magnet. I spent like $1,000 on a magnet, and the magnet was 2020, and it said, this is going to be our best year yet. And then it went out like right when COVID hit, and all I could think is these people are looking at these magnets thinking,
boy, this lady's full of crap, right?
Exactly. So, I mean, for me, I was never consistent on one type of lead source. So what worked for me is just working so hard for my clients that they actually refer. And I get I mean, it's crazy. Yeah.
If you had to do anything over again with your real estate career, and you got to kind of go back in time and 4 or 5 years, and you're just getting into the business, what advice would you give yourself then, now that you're, 4 or 5 years wiser in the business?
I feel like my hustle is just the same as it was day one. Like I'm still driving to Chula Vista, and I'm still driving to I'm going to Pasadena tomorrow. Like I'm exhausted. I really need to put my fall clothes away, or bring out my fall clothes. Like there's so many things I need to do, but I'm instead going to drive to Pasadena. So like, I feel like my drive is so crazy.
What are the goals moving forward?
I want my team to be super successful. I want to help them in any way I can. I want to build my business so that it's more of a fluid, I know what's coming, but you can't. In real estate, it's impossible. You just don't. 2 months ago, did we know that the rates were going to jump up and our whole lives were going to change? Everything's changed in the past couple months.
People are still buying and selling homes though, aren't they?
Crazy. I'm busier than ever. Yeah.
So there you go, right?
I'm busier than ever.
Rates have doubled, and there's still plenty of buyers. And I know every market is different, and I have friends in a lot of different markets. And you look at Phoenix and Vegas, or kind of more boom and bust markets, right? And their inventory levels have triple or quadrupled.
Really?
They're up to 15 or 20,000 listings in Phoenix, something like that. And they're also seeing more price depreciation right now. But here in Orange County, we're not really seeing that. I mean, we still have a super low inventory market, right? We're under 4,000 listings.
Yeah. I just bought my condo with a 4-point-something interest rate, because I know you date the rate, but you marry the price, right? So yeah, it didn't stop me. It shouldn't stop anybody else. But yeah, we're busier than ever.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. I'd like to grow my business. I mean, I want to want to one day be able to stand on a stage and tell the story of like how I started so I can help other women, especially moms who want to get into the business. They're scared and they want, and help them,
So you want to make an impampact.
I do.
You do. I can tell.
I want to help.
So you want to help the agents on your team. Do you want to grow a large team? Do you want to, what are you looking to do?
I think the agents on my team would kill me if I brought another person on because they'd be like, "You're already so busy, Sarah. Please just, focus on us." So but I say yes to everybody. That's the problem, Gabe. I say yes to everything and everybody. So like if somebody comes to me and they're like, "Hey, I want to join your team," I'm like, "Okay." And then I'm like, "Oh, I'm gonna get in trouble for this." I did a reel recently where it's like from that one bunny movie where he's like, no, I can't see your mouth through the gate, whatever it is. And it reminds me of my team constantly saying no to me while I say yes to everything.
Yeah.
So, I do want to help others and, eventually make an impact on other moms who maybe want to get into the business or want to get into any business, but really real estate. Yeah.
Well, maybe there's a way for you to figure out how to do that and have it more systematized and organized and structured, right? Like,
are you going to help me with that?
I can help you with that for sure. Yeah, because there's ways that you can put processes in place where you can help a large number of people.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be everyone one-on-one because you can't do everyone one-on-one.
It's really
but if you do it in a group,
you
could lead Zoom calls and trainings and all of that to teach them everything that's in your brain.
Right.
And like really parlay those skills or help those other agents on your team, absorb those skills.
Right.
So there's definitely ways that you can do it. So we can work on that.
I want to tell the real estate stories too. Like that's a big thing. Like all of our crazy stories. Like I want to tell all of our crazy stories.
Okay. Before we go.
Yeah.
Craziest real estate story you have.
So I had this agent once get a hold of me and he I guess that whoever was going into the house wasn't flushing the toilet. And he sent me a picture of the toilet with the not flushed toilet. And I was like, are you sending me a picture of a toilet that's not flushed? He's like, yeah, every time you and your clients go in there, somebody doesn't flush the toilet. And I'm like, okay. So I know.
Was this a house you were in escrow on?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So you were the buyer's agent.
So it's almost our toilet anyways.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm like, so what's the issue? He's like, well, every time you guys go, the toilet's not flushed. And I'm like, okay, well, I'll make sure next time to let my clients know to flush the toilet. Like, are you out of your mind? What's wrong with you? And then so this went on like the text messages for so long. And he was using pretty vulgar language and he's a top agent. So I was like, he's like top 1% of something. And I'm like, what is going on with this guy? And we know 80% of the time it's the client, right? Yelling at them and then they yell, it trickles down. So I just, at the end of it, I was like, I'd like to move on with my day. Can we move on from Toiletgate? And so I hashtagged it. And then he laughed and we moved on and we closed and it was fine. But that was one story that like sticks out in my mind. But
thank you for sharing your stories.
Yeah.
I love your journey.
Yeah.
I love Toiletgate. I know that you want to make a big impact out there. If any agents want to connect with you or anyone that's watching this podcast wants to connect with you.
Yeah. So I'm on Instagram, Sara Realtor Mama, Sara_Realtor_Mama. I'd love to connect with anybody, women or men, preferably women though. No, I'm joking.
I'm just happy you came on my podcast and I'm a man.
Yeah. Well, you guys have the upper hand in this business. So I'm trying to like help other women.
You know what though? I think there's I think the percentage is more women than men in this business.
That doesn't mean we're doing well.
You guys are doing great. You girls are doing great.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. Yeah. But yeah, it is hard to get into the business.
It is, for sure. Well, thanks for sharing your journey with me. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks.
And that's a wrap.
Okay.
All right. Hi, I'm Gabe Cole, and over the last 20 years of my real estate career, I've learned from some of the top real estate coaches and agents in the country. I've always had a strong desire and the mindset to grow to the next level, be the best version of myself. I want to add value to other agents out there and share the knowledge that I've gained and continue to learn through the experience in this business. Welcome to The Strategic Agent. Make sure to subscribe and hit that notifications icon and get alerts when I post anything new for real estate entrepreneurs looking to up their game.